دوستان عزیز درود بر شما و امروز میریم سراغ play truant، یعنی کسایی که از اسکول فرار میکنن به هر بهانه. شاید مثل این حالت که میبینین از دیوار مدرسه بپرن اونور، یا احتمال داره پرنتسشون، والدینشون، اونا رو ببرن هالیدی به مدت خیلی زیاد. اونم یه نوع فرار کردن میشه از اسکول. play truant. children skip school. میگه اون بچه هایی که اسکیپ میکنن اسکولو به صورت فزاینده‌ای توی تعطیلات خانوادگی هستند. بعد یک کاما میذاره government figures revealed today. این ارقام دولتی، این اعداد که دولت معمولا میگه تو آماراش ریویل کرد، یعنی بازش کرد، اطلاع داد امروز. and جای خالی children truant. خب فعل نداره. truant رو میبینم تنها یک فعل با truant میاد. حالا ادم به شما میگه، دکتر ادم از دانشگاه سیدنی، که یا play truant داریم یا word truant داریم. دوتایی که تو ذهنش میومد عنوان کسی که نیتیو بوده. خب and میگه یه سری از بچه ها اسکول و مدرسه رو به بهانه‌های مختلف نمیان. این spring term، یعنی ترم بهاری. compared with بهتون گفتم معمولا با with میاد، در مقایسه با اسپرینگ قبلی سال گذشته. خب اینجا نمیتونیم واقعا بگیم چیه جواب. بریم جمله بعدی. بچه ها میس کردن. این M3M یعنی 3 میلیون. 3 میلیون روزه. unauthorized یعنی نکن authorized یعنی پرمیشن آفیشالی بهشون داده شده باشه، یعنی اجازه به صورت رسمی. unauthorized یعنی اصلا اجازه رسمی مدرسه بهشون نداده. روزهایی بوده که حالا غیر قانونی بوده، اجازه داده بهشون نشده بوده. last ترم قبلی. compared with در مقایسه با 3.7 میلیون روزی از مدرسه که در همون پریود سال گذشته بوده. نکنید 3 میلیون نسبت به 3.7 سال قبله. امسال 3 میلیون بوده، پارسال 3.7 بوده، پس کمتر شده. بنابراین اینجا میشه fewer children play truant this spring. حالا but جای خالی a group of truants 6% of the school population who accounts for more than 3/4 of all those unauthorized absence are more likely to be on a family holiday than they were in the same جای خالی last year. خب میگه اما، حالا نکنید یه نتیجه چیزی داره میگه اما وقتی میگه مواظب این جمله باشین که یه چیزی رو عجیب غریب میخواد بگه. خب هاردکور گروپ آف truants میشه. هاردکور یعنی کسایی که دیترمینیشن دارن، یعنی کلا مثلا وقتی میگه هاردکور گروپ آف truants یعنی کسایی که کلا غیبت میکنن، یعنی فقط میخواد یه طوری بپیچونه غیبت کنه. گرفتی؟ حالا بعدا ادم به شما بازم توضیح میده کسی که هاردکور مثلا داره یه دیترمینیشن، یه تصمیم بسیار قطعی داره. این یادتون باشه، این علامت مشت من یادتون باشه. 6% جمعیت مدرسه، جمعیت اسکول که accounts for، یعنی وقتی میگه accounts for یعنی معنیش این to form the total of something. form یعنی شکل دادن. مثلا students account for the vast majority of our customers، یعنی دانش آموزان بیشتر مشتری ما هستن اصلا. حالا شکل میدن زیادی فارسی میشه. اینجا نگاه کنید میگه 6% عدد خیلی کمیه دیگه. میگه 3/4 3/4 کل این unauthorized absence یعنی غیبت های غیر موجه رو تشکیل میدن. یعنی 6% مثلا 3/4 غیبت ها رو تشکیل میدن. مثلا میگم تو ایران میگن 4% مردم، نمیدونم تو جهان ایران کجا 4% مثلا مردم دارن 90 و خورده درصد پول جهان دستشونه. خب اینجا چی میشه؟ پس اینا یه هارد کور گروپ هستن دیگه، یعنی این کار فقط دارن غیبت میکنن، خیلی از غیبت ها رو. To be on a family holiday then they were in the same period last year. اصلا نخونده گفتم، یعنی همون دوره سال قبل نسبت به امسال داره مقایسه میکنه. میگه some 1.2% of all absence was for family holiday. 1.2 این غیبت ها تعطیلات خانوادگی بوده. Not جای خالی by their school last term compared with در مقایسه با 0.9% همون ترم سال گذشته. بیشتره more than 60% of all absences were for illness. 60%، بیشتر از 60% این غیبت ها به خاطر مریضی بوده، همون عدد سال قبل. خب این نکنین ابسنس های فامیلی هالیدی که ببینیم کدوم. not way خب معنی نمیده، not most معنی نمیده، باید فعل باشه، اصلا فعل نداره. not agreed یعنی تایید نشده با اسکول. نکن شما میخوای بری فردا با خانوادت، فرض کن یه تعطیلی میخوای بری، اسکول میگه آقا نرو، این ولی تو غیبت رو کردی، unauthorized absent هم بوده. اینجا باید بگیم not agreed by their school last term. خب میریم صحبت های دکتر ادم گوش میدیم. دقت کنید یه سری تعطیلات هست شما با خانوادت میری به عنوان دانش آموز، اونا رو هم مدرسه میگه حق نداری بری. حالا شاید تو ایران اجازه بدن اما اینجا اصلا اجازه نمیدن، میگن نمیتونی عزیز من بری، ولی اینا میرن دیگه، هاردکور گروپ هستن. خب ممنون.
Okay, so they're reporting the reasons why children are not attending school when they're expected to. And the topic sentence tells us that the growing reason for that is that they've gone on holiday with their families. And there's a contrast. I know it's the way that they've introduced the contrast is a bit confusing because they've said and. But the contrast is children playing truant is children who are not at school against their family's wishes and against the school's wishes. Children who are skipping school to go with their families on holiday, that's not quite the same as truancy, playing truant. It's a weird thing about this word truant, is that it's a role that you play. You play the truant, you act it out. It's an old sense of play. To play is to act out. In this case, you're acting as a truant. You're acting out a form of truancy. And that's why, yeah.
Is there any other verb that it can goes by truant?
I can't think of one.
Great.
Good
I actually think,
yeah, this is just you play truant.
Yeah. The less, the better.
You could talk about how children were truant, but that's not what they're doing. That's what they are. That were truant this spring, whereas I think the focus here is on children's actions. Yeah, it is million. 3 million.
3 millions. Okay.
So they're talking about it's a weird way of talking about the days missed, because they're saying that across the entire country that there were 3 million school days missed, but some students have probably missed more and some have missed none or fewer. So they're counting, it's like they're getting all of the days that children have skipped school where they weren't unwell, where they weren't given medical reason for not being there. They've put them all together and they've counted them across the whole country. They've said this year 3 million missed school last year. 3.7 million missed school in the same period. Yeah, to say that a group is hardcore is to say that they're especially dedicated or maybe really strongly conforming to something. So it's implying that while the wider numbers have decreased, there is a small number of students who actually that stays steady. 6% of the population, of the school population, are actually responsible for 3/4 of those absences. And this group are more likely to be on a family holiday rather than just skipping school themselves. So that's
But the question
yeah.
is why we cannot use fewer here?
Well, it's not the point about this group is there aren't fewer of them. So while there are fewer overall, this group itself is persistent. There's a smaller group that does more of the truancy, but is persistent in doing it. They're doing it for slightly different reasons, but they're the ones who like most of those 3 million days don't, it's not because 3 million different children didn't come to school during that year. It's because a very small group of children didn't come to school a lot. They skipped a lot of days. And then a larger group, they maybe skipped a day here or there. So they're kind of building up a picture of the population or of the different groups of children. Some of them skip school, once or twice in a year, but some of them skip school a lot. You could say a smaller group of truants
A smaller group of truants.
accounted for more than 3/4. So then you'd be talking about the size of the group rather than its strength or resilience or its dedication. Maybe we'd say it's dedicated to skipping school. That's why they're saying hardcore. It's like punk rock. I don't know if you know much about punk rock.
No.
There's punk rock, like, I don't know, people started making music like this, and then in the 1980s, some people who are really dedicated, even as this music becomes less popular, they become the hardcore. They stick with it. They stay punk rock when everyone else has moved on to the next fashion.
Mhm.
So that's the idea of hardcore, is it's the group that sticks around, that keeps doing it, or maybe that does it in a more intense way as well. The music becomes more intense, or in this case, the truancy becomes more intense.
I got
Yeah, it's not a very academic term. It's maybe a more media type term. Is it very strong, or do you have a lot of determination?
yeah.
Yeah, that's what you'd be saying. Yeah, so you could say, I have a hardcore interest in mathematics. You're very serious about pursuing that study. It's something you're determined to learn more about, or you think it's very important.
Yeah. It means that it shows their determination. Yeah. For example, this one, the team is pretty hardcore, even practicing this now.
Yes, yeah, it's determination, strong belief. Usually these things go together. And it often implies that there's another group of people who aren't as determined or don't believe as strongly. So if you say that I'm a hardcore about mathematics, you're implying that there's a whole lot of people, maybe even in your program, who only do maths because they have to.
Perfect.
It's often used, the adjective hardcore sometimes becomes a noun. It refers to hardcore pornography. So that's like extra explicit pornographic work. It's not just erotic. It's, so that is one way the adjective is used, and then it sometimes even becomes a noun.
So here it's a noun or adjective.
It's an adjective. Hardcore
Adjective.
group.
Hardcore group.
Yeah.
It means that this group has a lot of determination and they want to always keep their truancy.
They don't want to go to school. Yeah, they want to
I-
skip school.
I
and they're
like
gonna
these guys. Okay.
Okay, so so 1.2% of all absence was so this is the setting up the main verb here is was, and then for family holidays, so the absence was for that reason, but that's further modified by not agreed by their school. So not agreed by their school. Family holidays that haven't been agreed to by their school. It implies that you can have the school agree. Like you could go to the school and say, "We're going to take our child out for this holiday." That would be unusual, but it implies that that's possible.
I think these kids have a lovely parents.
Yeah, I think so. Why does way not work here? I think a way informally, way can be used as an intensifier way more. But formally, a way is a path. You know, you're talking about a path or a passage or a route that you take. So it doesn't kind of fit here as a
Verb.
it needs to be not agreed by their school, not signed off on by their school, not endorsed by their school. It needs to be that participle verb
Perfect.
form to fit there.